everyone, and welcome to the mid-year book freakout tag. It's the middle of the year, so it's time to do the mid-year book freakout tag, so let's just get right into the questions. Question number 1 is the best book of 2025 so far, and I'm going to say How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying by Django Wexler. There are so many others that I could choose from that I'm actually going to mention later on in this video, but this is the one that really stood out for me because this one was so funny. This one is following Darby, who is from our world, who's been chucked into this fantasy world, and she's basically been stuck in a time loop for the last 1,000 years where she is going through a cycle of constantly rallying the troops, going up against the Dark Lord, and then dying and having it all reset again until one day she decides, screw this, I'm going to become the Dark Lord and die trying. And it is so much fun to read. The humour of this was absolutely brilliant. I also loved the storyline of this one as well, and its sequel, and obviously the world was fantastic. The humour in here and the footnotes really reminded me of Terry Pratchett in a lot of ways, and it was just so much fun to read. This is absolutely a standout book for me this year. I adored it. Question number 2 is the best sequel of the year so far, and that has to go to Heart Full of Hatred, which is the latest one in the Skullduggery Pleasant series by Derek Landy, because this book had everything. The Sasha vibes, which were absolutely on point, also the storyline itself, the plot twist, the ending, it was all absolutely on point. I sped through this book and then spent a lot of time in shock afterwards, trying to process what I had just read. It was absolutely incredible. I adored every single second of it. I am now so excited and terrified for the next book to come out next March, but it was so good. It was unbelievably good, to say the least. Next up is the best 2025 new release, and obviously it's got to be Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab, because this book was everything I wanted from V.E. Schwab writing vampires and more. And the only way I can describe this is exactly how she describes it, which is toxic lesbian vampires inspired by Interview with the Vampire. And this was so good. It delivered on every single level. The way this explored things like immortality and what that does to people and how that affects everybody else and how it affects everybody individually, how it explores toxic relationships, all of this kind of thing. It was done masterfully well. I absolutely adored it, and I'm obsessed, quite frankly. I'm quite frankly completely and utterly obsessed with it. It was so worth the wait and so worth the hype. It was incredible. Question number 4 is the most anticipated release for the rest of the year, and to be perfectly honest with you, after Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, I've got no idea what's coming out for the rest of the year, so I can't really answer this one. So if you've got any recommendations or anything you're really excited for coming out this year, tell me down in the comments so I can check it out, because at the moment I've got no idea what's coming out. Actually, tell a lie, there is one thing I'm really excited for that I know is coming, and that is another audio drama based within the Skullduggery Pleasant universe. There was one that happened last year and I really enjoyed it, so I'm so excited to see what they're going to do this time round. Question number 5 is the most disappointing read of the year so far, and I'm unfortunately going to say Interview with the Vampire here, because I adore the TV show. I absolutely love it. I'm completely obsessed with it. Last year I was hyper fixated on it, to say the least, and I am absolutely adoring all of the stuff that's coming out about the next season. I'm so excited for Rockstar Lestat and everything else. I'm just ridiculously excited for it. So I decided to read the book this year, and the book was not for me whatsoever. The writing style didn't really work for me or anything else, and then Louis started describing Claudia, who is their vampire child who is turned when she is 5 years old, in a really creepy way, and I just noped out of it immediately. Like, I don't think anything happened between the two of them within the book. Obviously I haven't finished it, but the way he was describing her was just a little bit too creepy so I obviously DNF'd it, and it's just really sort of left a bad taste in my mouth. Don't get me wrong, I'm still really loving the TV show, but that bit in the book was not okay. Next question is the biggest surprise of the year so far, and I'm going to say All That It Ever Meant by Blessings Musariri. I apologise right now if I've mispronounced that, but this is a really short novella, and it is all about griefs and funerals and how we deal with those types of things, and I can't give you too much more detail apart from that, because otherwise I will give it away. But what I will say is that the plot twist at the end is one of my all-time favourite tropes that I do not see anywhere near enough, because it is so hard to do, and this book absolutely nailed it and it left me speechless at the end of it, to be perfectly honest with you. It was done absolutely brilliantly well with surgical precision, and it was done brilliantly. I had no idea what this book was about going into it. I had never even heard of it before it actually dropped through my door as part of my Waypoint Books full moon subscription box, and I was blown away reading this. This was fantastic. Next question is a new favourite author, and I'm going to say Patrick Ness for this one because I read his Chaos Walking trilogy this year and absolutely adored it. Don't get me wrong, it is an incredibly heavy series to read. There was a lot going on in it and a lot of triggering topics in there, but the way he handled the subject matter and the way he dealt with the things he was talking about in that metaphorical sense was done so well, and the way he dealt with all of these topics, all of these storylines, and the world he created was absolutely masterful, and I cannot wait to continue reading his stuff because this was incredible. Next question is your newest fictional crush, and I don't really get that many sort of book crushes anymore, I won't lie, but I will say that my crush on Bucky Barnes came back with an absolute vengeance this year, so I'm going to say him because obviously I was watching Thunderbolts, I was obviously reading all of the Thunderbolts comics and all of the Bucky Barnes comics, Winter Soldier stuff that I could get my hands on, and I fell in love with him all over again in the MCU and also in the comics, and I'm just going to say that crush has come back with a vengeance and move on because it really has, and he's taken over my brain, essentially. It's all I think about all day now is Bucky Barnes, so I'm going to say him. Next question is your newest favourite character, and I'm going to say Darby from Everybody Wants to Rule the World Except Me, and obviously How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying, because Darby was so much fun to read about. I absolutely adored her character because she's very much someone who is embracing all of this villainy and all the rest of it, while also dealing with a lot of stuff she hasn't had to deal with in a very long time for plot reasons I can't quite go into because obviously spoilers, but I loved her character arc, I loved her humour, and I just absolutely loved her chaotic energy. I thought she was fantastic. And also I have to quickly mention Key here as well from Long Live Evil because I love a morally grey kind of warrior type character that he very much was. He's not quite a warrior, I shouldn't call him a warrior, but he's very much someone who has been trodden down on his whole life and all of this kind of thing, and he's learned to survive in the only ways he knows how, and he was a fascinating character to follow. I loved every single one of his lines and every single one of his scenes. I thought he was brilliant, and I cannot wait to see where he's going to go next in the next book in the series. Next question is a book that made you cry this year, and I'm not really a book crier, so I'm going to move on. Next question is a book that made you happy this year, and I'm going to say Invincible Iron Man by Brian Michael Bendis, and also the Ironheart series by Eve Ewing, because both of these ones are following Riri Williams, who is a young superhero who essentially builds her own Iron Man suit and then takes on the role of Iron Man before becoming Ironheart, and seeing that journey was absolutely fantastic to go through. Throughout this series, I loved reading it so much. I loved learning more about Riri and seeing her learn to be a superhero, build these suits, deal with everybody in Tony's life and all of this kind of thing. I thought she was brilliant, and I loved her journey so much, and it made me so happy to read about all over again. Next up is the most beautiful book you've bought this year, and I mean Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, because I mean, look at how beautiful this is on the outside, and then if we look on the inside, if I can get to the right page, I mean, look at all of this. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can see that. If not, I will put a picture here or here so you can see it in full detail, but it is absolutely stunning. The papers as well in the page breaks as well are so pretty as well. This whole book is absolutely stunning. The camera's probably moved because my camera died before the final question, but the final question is your TBR for the rest of the year, and I have a fair amount of it. So if we go through this stack here first, I've got Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas. I've also got Godkiller by Hannah Kaner. There is also Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. This Delicious Death by Kayla Cottingham. I apologise right now if I've mispronounced that. I Feed Her to the Beast and the Beast Is Me by Jamieson Shea. Stolen City by Eliza K. Bonin. Then The Ashfire King by Chelsea Abdullah. Cascade Failure by L.M. Sargas. Also Valiant Ladies, this one is by Melissa Gray. And then if I look quickly at my Notion template, there is also How Long Till Black Future Month by N.K. Jemisin. Principle of Moments by, I've forgotten, I apologise right now, I will obviously put the cover on either side. There is also Perilous Times, Stormfront, Starling House and The Ultimate Universe. And then also all of the series that I wanted to read as well that I mentioned in my series check-in video. And that is the end of the mid-year book freakout tag. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below telling me a book you absolutely love this year so far and love to know. Or if you don't have that much time, leave me a book stack emoji down below to let me know that you were here. I'll also leave a link as well down below to all my social media if you want to check it out, including to my Etsy store that sells bookish merch if you want to treat yourself to something bookish today. Or if you just want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe here, and over here will be the link to my previous video. But until next time everyone, bye!